welcome to Witch Hat Chats. My name is Nikki Kirby, and our co host is Pamela Griffith. And we are presented by the ever moving We Rise Temple, the Laughing Holistic Soul Center, and Moonlight Potions and Charms. So, what I would like to ask Pam about today is, Pam, what do you think about the importance of having support about your about being a pagan from people who are non-pagans?
That's an interesting question. I originally lived in Baltimore for about 50 years, and I ran into, depending on the circumstance, those that were afraid, those that were not. I never tell people who I am. I never do any references at first. Get them to know you. And then when they say, "Oh, you are really?" It's kind of a shock, but it lets them know that you're a person first and that you're not going to eat them for dinner usually because they're a little too tough. You have to marinate and all that good stuff. um and their children you definitely don't want. We do not eat spoiled children. They're just not really good. But let them get to know you and your crazy side first, and then they can make that leap as to what and who you are. I moved to Florida 5 years ago. um, I got a job where I'm working at now. I'm an accountant, so I'm one of those crazy people anyway. And most 99% in my office did not know, other than my boss, exactly what my faith path was, even though I'm tattooed very large and proud. Nobody noticed. It was brought up one day when my boss happened to mention something, and I turned around and quipped what holiday it was coming up on. His question was, because sometimes I come in late if I have a holiday, on the weekend or that day, the next day, because, midnight rituals just kind of hurt a little bit as you get older. And he says, "You're coming in late tomorrow." And I said, "No, I should be okay. It's only," and I think it was Ostara. I said, "It's only Ostara. I'm good." And someone looked at me and went, "Huh?" Now we deal with 22 different countries. So everybody's a little stand back about, because I know the holidays for most of the countries, because I have to know when I can call people and when banks are open. So they're like, "Oh, well, what is that?" And I said, "Oh, it's a pagan holiday." I said, "It's your Easter." "Really?" "Yeah." And we went into a little discussion, and they're like, "Well, how did you know that?" And I was like, "Oh, well, some people do call me a witch." And she was like, "Oh." I had two girls in the office almost pass out. She has since gotten used to the idea that I'm pretty easy to deal with, and it's cool. So, and it's also opened up for dialogue,
Yeah.
because the one thing you have to remember, if someone asked you that question, one, don't get frustrated, don't get angry, take it as a teaching experience. You go, "Oh, let me tell you how that works." And when you do that, you will be amazed, because they'll come back later and ask another question. If you don't know, the biggest thing I have is say, "I'm not really sure on that. Let me get back to you." And that's when you start calling the crones and the sages, to get that question answered. But
Hmm.
don't be offended. That's the problem see with a lot of pagans. We expect everybody to know what we do and what we are. If you tell somebody they're a druid and they make a witch comment to you, you're going like, "A druid?" Yeah, okay, cool, you are. But you have to remember, whether it's a Lutheran or a Baptist, they're still Protestants, but there's a difference in the dogma. So if you just take it back as like a little teaching and a little bit of, wow, they're curious, let's see if we can hook them in, kind of thing. But just patience and smother them in kindness, because the whole time, catch a whole lot more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And it really works. I've not met have people follow my path, but after hearing things and talking to me, I have people saying, "Well, can you teach me?" "You're teachable. I can teach you." That's my first question. Are you teachable? And
Right.
they look at you like, "Well, of course I am." "Well, then of course you can learn." But no, just it's hard sometimes. Pagan pride is awesome. Sometimes we need to knock it down a little bit. We're loud, we're proud, and God don't mix us with alcohol, because we're even louder. Um, knock us down a little bit and just listen and listen to the questions. Many of the questions are going to be horribly, horribly cited because that's the way it is. And you just have to take your patience and say, well, no, honey, this is how it really is. And, people do say that, we boil children or we bake them or whatever, no, we're not into blood sacrifices. That's kind of a Christian thing and the Jewish thing. Y'all do that so well. We're not going to take that from you. We'll let you have that one. And if you act that way and you just explain, and a big thing with a lot of us witches, we've been pounding on it for years now, is the history. Learn your history. Learn what path you're walking. Learn what your dogma is. And I about 400 pagans just cringed when I said dogma. I know. We all have a dogma. We're human. That's part of who we are. So we all have that little specific thing that we do. We all have that little specific man-made written law right there. Our group does not do skyclad except when it's adults only because we're familiar outfit. And you definitely don't want to see your grandma and grandpa naked. That's just a little bit too much. So, dogma is important to every group, to the Dianics, to the Gardnerians. It's very important. So, you give a broad explanation. And then if it comes down to specifics for my path, then I say, my path says, and you give them that, and you tell them a little bit about what the Correllian path is. If you're Gardnerian, then you tell them a little bit about the Gardnerian path. And it makes a big difference. They tend to lump us all together with the witch trials.
Oh, yeah.
My people weren't even over in the United States at that point. We were still in Europe, like my mother didn't come over until the 50s. My dad's people didn't come over until around the 1800s. They were in Scotland. So, and the only ones over here other than that related to me were natives. Yeah. So I have no clue. Witch trials, I can tell you European side, but I have the American side. My people weren't even here. So you just want to step away from that, but you don't want to come up and start spelling a spell to them or, unless it's warranted. I'll leave that out there. There are those.
The thing about it is you like to have the support of other people because it really does do a lot for that glass breaking. And I actually had someone from high school who texted me and told me they support witches. And he didn't even know that I was a witch, in school. The thing about it is I don't think I even knew that I was a witch in school. I knew I was strange and I was the unusual, but I didn't know that I was, that yet. Actually, I knew then, but I just didn't what that little light bulb just didn't go off yet. The one just didn't light up yet, stuff like that. And my mom is extremely supportive, and I was at first when this first happened because my ex-husband had told her that my friends and I were going up in the mountains of Appalachia, and we were dancing naked around a big big fire, and we were having sex with the devil, and we did that every weekend. And that's what he told my mom, and my mom and I we were on our way to my granny's house, and it was a 3-hour tour,
Oh,
where there was no stops or anything like that. And she said, so Jim tells me you're a witch. And I'm like, I was in my early 20s, and I remember hushing for a minute because at the time I wasn't really telling, a whole lot of people. And so we ended up having a very good conversation. She was a lot more open to it than I had thought. So, if somebody brings it up to you, like you were saying, see it as a teaching moment, see it as, and look at it through a little bit of humor as well, because you can kind of laugh about some of the things that people, say. Because they're not true, and then you can tell them saying, that's not really the way we do it. This is the way we actually do it, stuff like that. So tonight we are having a new
You're
New
good.
moon.
I'll have what she's
Spiritual.
having.
And at the Ever Moving We Rise at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you are welcome and invited. So Miss Pam is going to be the host of that. So what are we going to expect tonight?
Well, hopefully I will not catch robes on fire tonight. Hair is
I thought
short,
that
so
was
it can.
tradition.
That is a tradition in my group. Trust and believe. You joke about that. My daughter, my oldest, is a witch also, and so are my grandchildren. And they're training my great grandchild, so this is going to be fun. She called me to ask me how to repair the hole in her robe where she managed to catch it on fire. And I went, "Oh, great tradition. Just keep wearing it and tell everybody, it's where they tried to burn you at the stake and it just didn't work." Um, Tonight, humor, we don't know anything about that. You will need a black candle and a cord.
Awesome.
And we're going to dress a candle, a black candle.
And we'll have big fire. Big fire.
Yeah, probably. You know me. Goodness only knows. I just keep lots of water next to my altar. Keep that holy water handy. I never know when it's going to come in. But no, it's just a cord. You'll need a dark colored cord. It can be yarn or string or whatever you have around the house. Like I told you, I'm a cheap witch, whatever you have. If you don't have a dark one, we'll pretend it's dark. We're good with that. And a candle, and you're going to want to dress your candle. So have your anointing oil. Remember last time we made anointing oils? Take your anointing oil that you made. I'll be using the one that we did make that week. And we're going to draw on it. So this is always fun. We're going to write on it, and then we're going to anoint it, and we're going to go from there.
Awesome. So I'm looking forward to that tonight. I also have a webinar that's coming up on Thursday. So I'm going to share that with you right now. It's Eagle Medicine. The Sky Isn't the Limit. That's the one that's coming up on Thursday. And I'm very, very excited about that one because I've actually done additional research into the Eagle Medicine. And the thing about it is, when it comes to the eagle coming into your life, whenever there's an animal that comes into your life, they tell you a story. And the story can always be applied to whatever is occurring in your life right now. And so when it comes to my webinars, not only do we talk about that, but we also talk about their history. We talk about a lot of their body structure and so many things, and how you can take that and apply it to everyday life right now. So what you want to do is you want to go on to www.cembroadcasting.com to be able to register for that. And then next week, we're going to be talking about pagan businesses. So we already do have a post up. So if you have questions or comments, or you want to talk about your experiences or something, just let us know. And we'll be mentioning those and everything as Pam and I discuss that. So now it is time to introduce our guest host. Jackie Smith is the founder of Coventry Creations, a locally based, internationally known market maker of spiritual products. In 1992, Jackie was the first on the national market with her Blessed Herbal Candles. This line gave birth to the spiritual candle industry. And over the past 25 years and plus, she has created hundreds of magical candles, teaching spiritual development classes, podcasts, volunteers, and is the best selling author of Country Magic and a co author of Do It Yourself, Akasha Wisdom, Access the Library of Your Soul. And Jackie has dedicated her life to the mission of normalizing the words witch and magic in everyday life. So I am proud to introduce Jackie Smith.
Thank you so much, Nikki and Pam, for having me on. I'm very honored to be part of your community today.
Yes, Jackie, we're very honored to be able to have you as well. So, The thing about it is, what is your magical background?
My magical background is that I stepped into the magical world. I didn't have a particular path or teacher, or I was brought up Catholic, and I was raised that way. And then as I stepped into the world of energy, and it was always a part of me, I realized that there was something missing. So I went in search.
Oh, so it's kind of like most of us, we knew that there was something
Yeah.
that was there, but we just haven't had anybody try and say, "Hey, we're going to sit you down. This is what it is."
Right.
Wouldn't that be
Yeah. And I studied, oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I studied the Wiccan path for a while, and I've studied many other magical paths. I've studied in the African traditional religions. I've studied in the Hindu religions. I've studied some shamanic practices, and kind of realized that magic is non-denominational. It's all around us.
awesome? So let me ask you this: why are you dedicated in normalizing the words witch and magic in everyday life?
Kind of the words yoga and meditation and mindfulness. The more we normalize this, the more we say it's okay to be a witch. It's okay to create magic in your life. The easier it is for us to function um, as magical people, as witchy people out in the world without having to hide what we are. And it is it's fun to be an out witch in the world. And as as an entrepreneur, I talk to other business people all over the place, and it's who I am. I mean, for almost 30 years, I've had a magical witchy business. And when somebody immediately comes to me and says, "Oh, well, do you have a cauldron? And do you boil children?" And I say, "Well, hang on a minute. I'm not. That's a witch of fiction." And so let's talk about what a witch is. And so as we normalize it, that question maybe is not as so prevalent.
That's awesome. Another word that's being handed around, and it's been handed around by us, which is for a long time, are the Akashic records. How did you become interested in that topic specifically?
I stumbled into them literally one day, and I had heard the word. I didn't know really what the word was. I had heard of it. I kind of like on the fringes is, like somebody says a horary chart, and then one day all of a sudden you understand horary, you'll understand that has a big purpose in your life in astrology. So I was working with clients. I was doing readings. I was in Massachusetts at Zuzu's Healing Arts, and I was doing readings. And I connected with the client, and I just found myself literally I felt myself falling forward into this reading, and it was crystal clear, and it was so much information, and it went really fast, and I was able to answer a lot of questions, and we did healing in that moment. And what when I asked, okay, where am I? And I heard the word Akashic. You're in the Akashic records. And so I started researching, well, what are the Akashic records? What's happening? And I realized I had been going there a lot. I used to call it the stream of all knowledge, because I would like tap into the stream of all knowledge. And when I started to learn about the word Akashic, and it means sky or ether, it's and the word soul. So it's just like, where your soul goes, so where your spirit goes. And so I said, well, this is an easier word for a lot more people understand it than to talk about the stream of all knowledge. And so I just continued to work in that and learn from the Akashic records how they wanted me to work with them. So that is, again, another self-taught thing, rather than working with other people who do Akashic record work, which I have learned from some of them. And the path that I stepped into is a little bit different. And so I just wanted to communicate out and teach people what I learned.
Pam, you're muted.
I know that I'm a step behind. My internet, I'm in the middle of another lovely storm. My internet is buffering. So it's going to take a second, guys. Bear with me. Florida is in the middle of monsoon season, and we're going into high hurricane season in the next 2 weeks. This is going to be
We'll
fun.
we'll put you in a protective bubble.
Yeah,
right now.
bubble. We missed last year. We didn't get hit. I'm on West Coast. I didn't get hit with the last storm. So I've got a lot to make up for. When you do the Akashic records, I know that that term is now becoming almost mainstream. It's kind of scary. You do readings in that. How do you actually do your Akashic readings? Are you in a trance, or can you just attain it?
I really feel a lot of readers step into the Akashic records without naming it that. Have you ever been with a reader who just goes so deep that you really feel that they touched your soul? And so I think we're there a lot as magicians, as witches, as readers. It's ours. So your Akashic record is yours. You don't need special permission to get in them. You're there all the time, just like you don't need special permission to dream. So to me, the Akashic record is another dimension of our being. Like the dream realm is another dimension of our being. We don't physically see it. We experience it. So the Akashic records are similar. Have you ever had that great, amazing moment where you go, aha, I get it, or you're super inspired? To me, that's you opened into your Akashic records and they're spilling into your life. And I think it's just something that we always have access to. So when I get into doing readings, I have my own methodology to get into that space where I am delving deeper than the surface. When I first started doing readings, the way I was taught to do readings, you're really reading the surface of somebody. You're flipping the cards or using your runes and you're reading the surface. So sometimes you can get stuck in other people's wants and maybe sometimes their psychosis, as it were. So then, as I said, okay, I want to move past that and I want to get into bigger answers. So I started learning how to go deeper and deeper. So I make a heart-to-heart connection. In DIY Akashic Wisdom, I teach you how to go into your Akashic records through your heart chakra, because that's really that place of transformation. So it's really easy to access there. So I make a heart-to-heart connection with my client, and then I ask the permission of all of their guides and divine allies if I can make that connection into their Akashic records. And so then I can bring them with me. So once we open that up, then a lot of times my clients experience stuff deeper. And when I do readings, I talk about how this is a cooperative process. I may see something and interpret something based on my experiences in life. So if I see something, I need your feedback to see if that is similar to your experience. And so it's a cooperative process. In many ways, we're creating a new path for you, a new future. I do feel readings are a little bit of a Pandora's box. When you do a reading for someone, you step into a place of authority. And sometimes readers can create things, instill a thought or an idea because you're sitting in a place of authority. And that your client is looking at you for direction. So I'm very mindful of that and very careful of that. And sometimes we'll step back in a reading and I say, well, what do you see happening in your life and where do you want to go? And what shall we create together and bring in the divine to help us create that?
Oh, I really like that. Create together. It's the thing about it is when you're giving readings, you get so much, sent to you. And I just like the way that you said that. That was awesome, Jackie. That was awesome.
Thanks. That's I take my responsibility really seriously in this realm.
So
I think I'm either I'm breaking up or you might be breaking up. Can you repeat that, please?
Jackie, you're muted. I'm sorry, my internet is giving me problems right now too. I just think it's a day.
I was
No problem.
right. I think I missed a question because either you broke up or I broke up.
Yeah. Basically, why did you decide to go into business for yourself?
I went into business for myself because I wanted to make some money to go to college. I was in this weird place where funding was not available to me. And this was about a million years ago, too. Um, so I just was trying to make money to go to college, and a standard $3.25 hour job, because that's what minimum wage was back in the day. Um, or 3.15, that's what it was, 3.15. And I scare my daughter when I say, well, my minimum wage was 3.15. Um, it was hard to get into college, and so I needed to do extra things to make money to go to school, because I really wanted to go to school for, I had a list. I wanted theology, to study many different spiritual and religious paths. I wanted psychology to understand how my mind works, and then I wanted business. Well, guess what I'm doing? All three. But I went to the School of Hard Knocks instead. So I started making candles, and it was adorable at age 24, going door to door, or store to store, as it were, um, going, hey, I made some candles. What do you think? And uh, it was just, they loved it. They hadn't seen anything like it. So it just kept going to the next place and the next.
Awesome. And so, why did you name it Coventry Creations?
The word Coventry, at the time, I had this fantasy that I could create a place where witches could come together, create like almost like a commune, where people could live in this magical place together. Um, and so I looked up I found the word Coventry. A Coventry is a gathering place of witches, or gathering place of spiritual people. Um, and as in a covenant of how we're going to work together. And I just love that word. And so I just kept it. It's gotten me in trouble. That word has gotten me in trouble a couple of times. I did have some big clients who said again, this was 25 years ago, 20 years ago, and it was a scary word. They wouldn't carry my products because the word coven was in my name. And that's probably when I started to say, I want to normalize this. I don't want witches to be seen only through sensationalism and fiction, to say we're scary, we do horrible things, we're only cursing people, etc. So being a witch is empowerment. I mean, empowered women have been called witches, or have been degraded, and use this term to degrade us for a long time. And I want, when we empower words like witch, when we empower words um, like the B version of that, I don't want to swear if it's not right to swear. When we empower these words, or empower the words of female anatomy, into a positive thing, then we are now finally stepping into our own power in society. And it's not to be better or greater than anyone else, but to be respected and be on the same page.
Yeah. I love you adopting the Coventry Dragon. So, how did that come about?
Um, so many things that have happened in Coventry's world. We got chosen by whatever spirit or energy wanted to be part of this. And when Coventry was being born, there was a dragon. A dragon showed up for us, and the dragon is our spirit animal, and has always paved the way for us. If we don't know where we're going to go, I sit down and do a deep meditation with that dragon energy, which, fire dragon, maybe because we're candles, and showing us the way and what's next, guiding us. The deep earth elemental energy.
Well, you didn't play around. You went right to the dragon. So you went right to the source there. That's the way to do it. Go
Yep.
to the big guns.
Yeah.
No, we're not kitty cats
Yep.
anymore. We're dragons.
Mm-hmm.
How did you overcome some of the challenges that you believed were daunting? Like, just you're never going to make it past this point. Or did you have those challenges?
Oh yeah. I had a lot of those challenges. As a woman, as an alternative spiritual practitioner, as a business owner. I did not get to college. But the thing is that I've always lived my life in a place of empowered belief. When I talk about empowered belief, it's not that I've always been empowered, but I have empowered my belief to take me forward. I do believe, and I believe as far as I can get to. So when I first started making candles, the thought of doing this for a living to keep food on the table was as far as my belief could go. And then I started doing that, and then having the belief that I could hire people was as far as that, and I empowered that belief as far as it would go. And then the next belief was like, oh, I could be in a bigger building, or I could go national, or I could so it continued to grow that belief, and then continue to prove that belief. So along the way, you find all the things that interfere with that belief. And I feel that we plant things like the fear. Our fear has a job to keep us safe. Our ego creates the fears, and its job is to keep us from just dying, but with whatever we're going to do. So along the way, you have to address those things, and you put things in your path. I really think that you prove your belief. So if you believe you're not going to succeed, you will find ways to prove it, and then that becomes other people's limitations of you as well. So when I was 24 and 25 and started my business and negotiating with a landlord to get a building, and he's calling me honey and baby and all this other stuff, I let him. You know what? I got the building. When I let people underestimate me, I still get my way. Except the bank, I don't want them to underestimate me. I want them to overestimate me and get me the loan. But along the way, it's just you continue to roadblock after roadblock. Listen, I have almost lost my business at least 4 times in the past 28 years. I have been divorced and remarried. I had a kid. I've been at the brink of bankruptcy at least 3 times, and none of that is little. I mean, last year I had my not my accountant, but my bookkeeper and business manager embezzle $150,000 from me. I made a big mistake. And I got distracted, and I let blind trust lead the way. And along those ways, you have to make a decision each time. When I was over $300,000 in debt, no wax in the building, no money in the building, and barely keeping my lights on, and my rent was a month late, you make a decision. I'm gonna go forward, and I'm gonna just figure this crap out. I'm just gonna keep going until somebody says I can't, or give up. And your mind gives up before your environment gives up. That's something my trainer taught me. Is your mind gives up when I'm working really hard. Maybe I'm on the rowing machine, or I'm lifting weights or cycling. That he reminds me, your mind's going to give up before your body gives up, and it's so true, because that mind's an emotion is like we get tired, but our spirit wants to keep going. Our environment wants us to keep going. So we have to decide whether we're willing to keep going and go through the really, really hard parts. And that's where we grow. We don't grow when it's fun. We grow when it's hard.
Now, I love your phrase, Coventry magic is not your mama's candle magic. That just rings with me. My mother is from Italy. So, and I believe she was a strega, because there was a lot of strange hoodoo things going on in my house. And I always thought that's a really cool saying. How did you come up with that? And what exactly do you mean by that one?
When the way I came up with candle magic was the 7-day candle, and then you dress it and you do the different things. And there were some specific 7-day candles or time candles were used in a specific way. Well, And it's usually like, I'm going to do this thing and this thing's going to happen and then I'm going to move on. I'm going to light this candle to make my paycheck speed up or get a raise or whatever. The way I approach magic is to heal. If you didn't need to do a spell around something, you wouldn't be broken in that area. So when you need to do a spell around something, whatever it is, like let's say your house is in turmoil and you just need to bring some peace in the house. So you could light a happy home candle and get peace for a couple of days. Or you can take that happy home candle, combine it with other things that you're doing, maybe do a multi-layered spell that says, I want to heal the strife in my household. I want to find out where it's coming from, and I want us to learn and grow and go to the next level together. So that is the way I approach candle magic, is to be a healing force in your life. You can put a Band-Aid on something. I talk about this in Coventry Magic a lot. You can put a Band-Aid on it. You can say, oh, I'm out of money. I need to make rent. So I'm going to light a candle and make rent. But I got to do it next month and next month and next month. What about healing the issue? Finding out where your limitations in money is coming from. That's been one of my lifelong journeys, is what money issues do I need to heal today? And then be able to level up and elevate each time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of problems with my internet. It seems like people keep stopping and I can hear you. Your book, Coventry Magic with Candles, Oils, and Herbs, it goes way beyond just choosing a color and the issue of the magical act. So, what made you decide that somebody really needs to go deep into the issue for themselves before they light that candle? Instead of just saying, "Hey, there's a white candle. I want protection. Let's just light it." Instead of just doing that, why do you believe that you need to go a little bit deeper?
If it's a repeating theme in your life, and this was my journey. So the repeating theme in my life was financial stability, stability in general. Another repeating theme in my life is choosing people who were pretty toxic. And so that those themes keep repeating. And that's how I started really looking into what is this process. Another thing that was happening in my life is I have a friend who was doing her master's thesis on grief. And so she was running her master's thesis by me. Not that I could really add anything, but I was listening. And she kept talking about the stages of grief and the stages of dying. And I looked at her and I go, well, what are the stages of living? And she's like, oh, I don't know. So then we started talking about this, and then this is a massive Akashic record moment as far as I'm concerned, because I understood now there's something deeper, there's something better. This wasn't all about putting this list of ingredients together and calling it good. You had to do the internal process. You had to take accountability for how you're interacting with the world and how you're seeing things. And I think that is a huge part of magic. It's missing in so many things. This is massive if you change the way you approach the world, because sometimes your magical spell is working, but you can't see it because you haven't changed the way you're thinking. So that's
Yeah.
how I think Akashic Record is very magical as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, really true, because like you said, if it's something that's constantly coming back again and again and again, what you've done is you've just put a band-aid on the issue for now. And you really
Mm-hmm.
need to deal with it because it's something deeper and it's something that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard of the Coventry Oracle. What is that?
The Coventry Magic Oracle is a deck of cards that started out as shelf talkers for display. I wanted to show my stores. I focus on selling to stores. I love empowering other business owners, so I really want to help them succeed. So I had some candles that maybe weren't selling great in stores. So I would show them I made this little card that says, oh, this, what was the slower selling candles? This Truth and Justice candle. You know, not everybody wants that truth and justice when it applies to them. How can, or the heart, best yet, the heart candle. The heart candle was originally called the forgiveness candle, and I couldn't sell a one. Changed the name to heart. It's one of my better sellers. So, but why, how could you use the heart candle for money? How could you use the heart candle for healing? How could you use a heart candle for protection? I got to this place where I realized magic is 5 categories. It's about finances, something about money, job, physical possessions. It's about a relationship, love, familial relationship, business relationship. So how you're relating to other people. So that's love. It's about protection. You need to shore up your protection. It's something that needs to be healed, or it's something that needs to be cleared. And I kept testing this theory that, well, what about this spell? What about this spell? And it all falls into one of those 5 categories. Even like inspiration. Well, where do you need inspiration? Why aren't you inspired? You need to clear something, or you need to heal something. So everything fell into that. So I was teaching people how to use any energy that's in front of you. You can use it for wherever you need to go. There's a reason why that energy is in front of you. So how in the world could you use a heart candle for money? Well, what you would do is you would tap into what you really love. What is your heart telling you what to do? So when you listen to that heart and it takes you on that path, and then money will start to come to pass. You heal, or maybe you have to heal that thing inside of you that's a little broken about money. So all of those different things. So as I put these little shelf talkers to help sell products together, I just kept doing it one candle at a time. And then I looked at it. I had about 30 of them. I went, oh, this is an oracle. And so I finished all of them. And then I would just take it to different shows and different places I would go and play with it just to see if it worked. And it really did. So you can either say, how do I love 3. I've always done things in 3, as a good witch will do.
Mhm.
So it's like, what 3 energies, how to triangulate what's really going on. You know, when you have the 3 points, you have multiple dimensions. So I would just continue to play with that. And then my radio co-host, Storm Sestavani, he came up with a REM method. What needs to be removed, what needs to be energized, and what is the message for you to manifest the thing that you want to manifest. So we just keep playing with that. And it's been, I've been doing my weekly Facebook Lives, where I'll do a quick 3-card pull to talk about that exact thing, like what subject matter and how can you look at the energy. So the oracle allows you to look at the energy that exists in your life right now in a new perspective.
That is really going there where you need to hit hard. That was some deep stuff. I hope people were paying attention. Now it's time for our song of the week. As you may be aware, with the coronavirus, a lot of pagan musicians and groups are just not getting out there. They depend on the live performances and record sales to make a living each week. So Nikki and I have selected a song from a pagan musician or band or group, and we just play their music video and or song. And a lot of times we're fortunate enough to get them on the show. We had Cloud not too long ago, and he had some wonderful music out there. So this week, I'm really blessed this week. I absolutely love this singer. I was actually granted an interview with her. I've met her before. She does some wonderful stuff. She's got a lot of music out there right now, and she's going to be a host with us in October. So from her album Mischief is Wichita by S.J. Tucker.
Wichita, sweet 16 and bold as love, the danger I've been dreaming of. Sweet 16 and bold as love, the danger I've been dreaming of. Sweet 16 and bold as love, the danger I've been dreaming of. Sweet 16 and bold as love, the danger I've been dreaming of. Sweet, sweet 16, and here she comes. I see the candlelight from her window. Well, she just bought her first book of spells, one step further from the wishing wells of childhood. She's a woman grown. I tell you, girls, if I had known, I'd do it all over exactly the same. She walked into my life and I sang, which girl, where have you been? Tell me about the trouble you've been in. 16 and as love, the danger I've been dreaming of. Sweet 16 and bold as love, the danger I've been dreaming of. Oh, 26 and mad as hell. Who'd have thought that I would fall for this? Turned around, pouted, let Tinkerbell. One step further from the wishing well. But what's her coming gonna say? All I know when I see her face, she makes every little fairy princess fade away. Here she comes and I say, which girl, where have you been? Tell me about the mischief. Oh, which girl? Oh, which shadows and a lock of hair, she holds me there, she does not care. Book of shadows and a lock of hair, she holds me there, she does not care. Book of shadows and a lock of hair, she holds me there, she does not care. Book of shadows and a lock of hair, she holds me there. Which girl? From her little pointy boots to her pouty lip, you can tell she's thinking to herself, shit, well, who am I to teach her to watch and wait? Which decides which is fate, and she's gonna learn the hard way, and that's alright. She says she likes it hot some nights, but keep a close eye on her witchy ways. She'll surprise us all one day. She'll surprise us all one day. She'll surprise us all one day. Say, which girl, where have you been? Tell me about the trouble you've been in. Which girl, by how you have grown. Time to make this world your own. Which girl, what have you done? Everything from raising hell to having fun. Which girl, where have you been? Tell me about the mischief. Shadows and a lock of hair, she holds me there, she does not care. Look up shadows and a lock of hair, she holds me there, she does not care. Sweet 16 and bold as love, the danger I've been dreaming of. Sweet 16 and bold as love, a witch girl.
Welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. I am your host, Nikki Kirby, with our co-host Pamela Griffith, and we are presented by the Ever Moving We Rise Temple, the Laughing Holistic Soul Center, and Moonlight Potions and Charms. So, Pam, guess who just showed up?
Uh-oh, I'm afraid to ask who.
Oh, this is somebody who we've been looking for. The familiar has shown up. Look. Oh my gosh, look. And the familiar brought a kitten with it.
Oh,
Ain't that adorable? You know, Moonlight Potions and Charms has these right now. And the thing about it is, they're also selling the little necklaces on their collars. You see right here where it
so
has a little
cute.
charm. They're selling those too. And they're doing adoption kits. So with the adoption kit, you get a certificate of adoption for you and your little familiar. And you also get the little necklace as well as a familiar. Isn't that cute?
I love it. It's my kind of animal.
I
don't
know.
I don't have to clean up.
It's perfect because they don't shed on everything.
No,
They don't scratch on anything.
and there's no litter box.
Right? And they're soft and warm and cuddly. And they are just absolutely adorable. I mean, I love these little things so much. And so, and you know, I just thought with the adoption certificate, and plus it comes with a blessing spell as well. Yeah. So,
See?
and they also are selling the certificates for, like, if you have another familiar and you like to put their name on there, they have those as well.
Oh, cool. So you
So
can have a couple on there.
yeah, so it's really, really nice about it. So we are with Miss Jackie Smith. And Jackie, you still there, honey?
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Okay.
We're all experiencing
Do you see
technical
me?
difficulties here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think it's gotta be
I
me.
love these. I love these. It just keeps it real, my friends. It just keeps it real.
It sure does. And you too can be a high priestess.
That is Pam's motto. Okay. Every time she lights herself on fire, that's the first thing she says right before she puts it out. That you can be a
I
high
love it.
priestess too. You just have to study for it, you know. And if you study Pam, you'll get it.
You'll learn how to put those fires out real quick. And you want to hear the kicker? My father was a Baltimore City firefighter for like 20 years. He's probably spinning in his grave watching me going, oh my God, what is she doing now?
One
Yes,
flame
you can
at
have the
one flame at
pets
a time.
watch you
Pam is
too.
making peace.
You
One
know,
flame at a time. Pam is making peace with fire.
yes, one flame, and it's everything. I'm so talented like that. Okay, now we're back with Jackie. I have a question for you with your witches brew candles and oils. How'd you come up with that?
That was the original Witch's Brew was a gift from another candle maker who was no longer making candles. She wanted me to make her candles for her, and it's just an amazing scent. And I did, and then eventually she just got out of the business and said, okay, keep going, you can keep going. And we just changed some labels and changed some names. So and we did change the fragrance a bit to be different than that original one, but it's so much fun. We used to call these our ladies. We had a line of 8 of them, and originally we would put this tooling, black tooling around them, or different color tooling around them, and we said we would call it putting on their party dresses. And so, but the Witch's Brew grew from that one candle. It's like, what do witches really need? And one of the things was the dragon's blood, which is a great seller for us. The evil eye is another core one. We took it from that line of 8, and then over time it became the line of 4. We right-sized that. And honestly, our best selling one is now the witch's purse, because a witch's purse is never empty. There's always something deep in the
Always.
bottom that we can manifest a Mary Poppins out of there. And then from there, the Witch's Brew line, one year when I wanted to market it a little bit different, I created the Witches Union. And the Witches Union is, it's now a Facebook group, but it's a little card. I wish I had one in my hand to show you, but there's a little card that says you're a member of local number 13, and you can put your magical name down. And it's just a fun way to celebrate our witchiness without it having to be a religion or a political statement or anything like this. We're just magical beings. And the Witches Union entitles you to, watch Harry Potter movies without a child being present. It it allows you to take authority over your own life. There is a test to make sure that you know all the lyrics to every Stevie Nicks song ever published.
You mean there are really lyrics
And,
there? She's not just singing?
Yeah. She's kind of a little bit of our first witch out in public, who is out and making magic and singing us songs about Rhiannon. And then over time, I started creating the Spellcaster Club cards. So the Witches Union is a spellcaster club. And so every month I bring out at least one spell that involves, of course, some Coventry products, shameless self-promotion, but also you could use Coventry products, you could use other candles and stuff that you can find in your house, like a mirror or different things, just to keep magic going and keep magic alive in your life. And so we have that Facebook group where we share information. We post the Spellcaster Club card every month. And we send the Witches Union cards and the Spellcaster Club cards to all of our stores. So if you are able to right now, but in general, if you go into a store that carries Coventry products, yep, there you go. There they are.
Right here, we got one.
Yep, and we just, yep, Aunt Jackie's calming spell, and then the Witches Union card. Thank you, Nikki. You are my hero for having that in your handy. And you can get on the Coventry site. If you can't get to a store, maybe call them and see if they have one for you to put in your order with them. And if that's not an option, you can get over to the Coventry creation site, and we have Witches Union starter kits. Yeah, it's all about being fun. And this is part of that normalizing the word witch. Whenever I'm out and about at a business meeting and somebody says something, if I'm out as an entrepreneur teaching classes or meeting people at a networking event, I hand them out. I hand out the Witches Union cards. When somebody starts talking about how they've manifested something in my life, I'm like, oh, you're a witch. And I hand them the cards, and the utter feeling of joy comes over their face. They're like, oh, I'm a witch. I always felt I was. When I'm talking about entrepreneurship out there, and I mean, like one of my big wins about talking about entrepreneurship, I was at the Federal Reserve in Detroit in front of 200 people talking about being an entrepreneur and a witch. And I'm very out and blatant about being a witch. And it's on my business card. I'm the Enchantress and Witch of Coventry Creations. And I get introduced that way a lot. And I will tell you, there is at least 5 people at any event that comes up to me and they go, I'm a witch too. I'm one. I always felt I was. It's the most fun to own this shamelessly. And then there are some people who go to the other side of the room because I terrify them.
Yes.
And I'm not worried about them. They're so far away from my world. I'm not converting anyone. I'm just validating all the people out there who are witches. And the Witches Brew and the Witches Union came about because I keep meeting people all around the country who are witches, and they're not necessarily Wiccan. They're not following any particular path. They just incorporate it. So I want to tell you a little story. So back in the day, and you two will recognize this, we had to separate very distinctly our everyday life from our magical practice. We had to leave our everyday life and go into this little bubble, right? And practice. And we had to keep it really quiet. And we would have different little necklaces that we would wear that, you knew what it meant. It may not be a pen, but other witches would know. And now I watch my daughter and all of her friends do magic as a course of their day to day. I didn't bring up my daughter as an initiated witch or anything like that. I feel very strongly that she gets to choose her own path in life. And I introduced her to many. But her and her girlfriends and her and her friends, I watch these young kids that come and talk to me. This is normal. It's normal. Like, well, I'm going to light a candle around that, or I'm going to carry crystals with me, or what stone do I need today? And this is normal, where for us, we had to like put them in our bra and keep it quiet. But I love the fact that we are normalizing being magical. Is that exciting?
That's really awesome. I remember my children are much older. My granddaughters are now adults, but when they were teenagers, telling their friends, no, I can't come over. It's full moon. We're going out back for ritual in a couple minutes. I'll call you later. And my granddaughters circled with me, and so did my daughter. So my 3 of my children, 2 are pagan, and their children are pagan. So it's kind of, it was really cool to hear, you know, because when I was practicing, you had to be, you talk about being in a closet, you had to be in a closet, inside a house, inside of a safe, inside of, you know, it was really forbidden.
The basement, yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible. But I see kids now, went through the toll booth last week, Thursday night, Sarasota, driving down to Sarasota to go pick up books that I'm sending to Gambia. And I drive down and I hand the toll guy my toll money. And he goes, oh, you're a witch. And I went, yes,
Nice.
thank you for noticing. He goes, blessed be. And I'm like, and there's one of my coworkers sitting in the car with me, looking at me going like, I said, hey, it happens. But
Keep rolling.
yeah, it's amazing. Nowadays, it's so freeing. I did have a question about your Motor City hoodoo candles, because speaking of witches, hoodoo, witches, you know, this is where you're stepping on. Hoodoo has not yet, I don't think, quite made it out. How did you come up with the hoodoo candles?
I have been studying and having levels of initiation in Santeria and African traditional religions. And in that study, I discovered that where I intuitively have always gone with my magic and my use of herbs and such, were more in line with hoodoo. Now, hoodoo is not just a made-up word to talk about like magic, or nor is mojo just a made-up word to talk about magic. That is actually the magical practice that survived through the atrocities of slavery in a specific area of the United States, more in the South than the Southeast. And one day when I'm studying this, I'm understanding this, I'm working in a very honorable way with spirits of hoodoo, and I was turning to that with my magic. And even so what I found is that a lot of the American magic we're taught, with the 7-day candles and the come to me and the bend over oil and all of these different magical things that were in the that are in the botanicas, that is all from hoodoo versus from a European witchcraft. And so as I was doing this, and I was practicing this more and more, and making these and then using this and giving these to other people, I said, well, gosh, maybe it's time to create a product line out of that. So all of the recipes are researched. None of them, I can't say any of them are old traditional recipes, because the recipes are so variant from teacher to teacher. So I just had to tune into each spirit of each herb and oil and say, what wants to be here? What wants to be in this? And then build the recipes from there. So in hoodoo, what you're doing is you're using, you're building a relationship with the spirit of the ingredients, and you're bringing all of these ingredients together to create a greater spirit, a larger energy, and asking for its assistance. And that's how all of these recipes came to be. And you're working with some more primal level, more real core energy. and it's about survival. It's about getting to, it's root work. So root work gets to the root of your problem and the root of your soul. So it works in that tradition and with that. And it's something that all of these recipes, I worked with, I have two guardian spirits from Hoodoo that I work with. And I don't talk a lot about that because it's more important that we just have really good stuff rather than all the pieces of the origin story. So this has been a lovely healing journey for myself.
Okay, I'm off mute now. All right, all right. As I was saying, I do practice hoodoo as well. So I understand. And hoodoo is a practice. It is not a religion for those who don't know the difference. I just want to make sure we make that personally clear. Um, but I do like the fact that you did come up with this and that you are studying, you know, other types of religions to see what works for you and stuff like that, and which, you know, I do that as well. But the cards here, I wanted to show the people. This, can you see that? Is that really good? That is the Witches Union card. And it tells this stuff on the back. So I'm going to read that. It says, the bearer of this card is entitled to cast spells upon their discretion. And it says, remember, karma's you know, not exactly nice at times. Um, a magical experience when you put it when you put in the work. Become empowered by taking action. So that means you are the decider. Street credit when shown to other witches. I love that. This is your witch's license, by the way. If you don't have one, you're not a witch. I'm kidding with you. You can watch Harry Potter movies. Oh, you give us permission to watch Harry Potter movies, even without a child present. Oh, that's sinful. It's very sinful. Know all the words to any Stevie Nicks songs. Now, there's you a test. Right there. You've got to know all the words to Seven Wonders. And then the Witches Union cards, she has a different card each time. And this time, the one that I got was Aunt Jackie's calming and cord cutting spell. So is it okay if I share this on the Facebook page?
Oh, please do. These are my gift. It's my gift to everyone. We give them away as often as possible. If we have these things in our pocket, we might not need it today, but we might need it tomorrow. And here's my tip on any spell you read. Any spell that you read from a book or from one of the Spellcaster Club cards, it is a guide.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do it a little bit different, if you want to make it specific to you, if you don't agree with pieces of it and you'd rather do it a slightly different way, do it. Any spell you read is a guide. What it is it's a moment of teaching to show you that here's how you can use these ingredients for something. And the whole thing about you be the decider in your own life, the first thing I teach when I teach a magic class is like somebody had to decide that lavender is good for this. They had to get there, they had to smell it, they had to say, yeah, it's good for this. So this person decided that lavender is really soothing, but then this person decided that lavender is really discordant. If you have too much lavender, it's too exciting. It throws you off your pin. So this person had an experience with a little bit of lavender and went, oh, and this person had an experience with a whole lot of lavender and went, get it away from me. So be the decider on how, like, look at the energy of each thing that you're using and feel it. Just because somebody says use patchouli and frankincense and orange to make a thing, smell the patchouli, smell the frankincense, look at the orange and say, no, or yeah, I like that. Unfortunately, one of the things I learned is that there are some books, I met some people who were part of the origin of it back in the day. One of them was Slater's Magical Formulary. They were just collecting recipes. They they are not necessarily real recipes. So there's some recipes that we have been perpetuating in our magical community over and over again, that when I talked to, and this was a long time ago, when I talked to the people who worked in that place who helped create this thing, are like, yeah, we're just collecting recipes and threw it in a book. So not everything is amazing. Not everything is with intention and above board. And that's when I started going, oh, I'm looking at these recipes one more time, and I'm going to see if that really works for me. Like who puts carnation oil in doom? I mean, carnation has nothing to do with death unto my enemies. Because I was always confused. I'm like, why are those happy flowers into this? I don't get it. So so that's just question everything and believe in yourself.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, there's this big controversy about what colors to use for protection. Some people use white, which is the traditional. But then again, if you really think about it, all magic candles were white to begin with, okay? Because they didn't have colors until very, very much later. You know, you don't see an orange candle back in the revolutionary days, okay? Um, but with your candles, like for example, with Dorothy Morrison's, her Flying Monkeys candle, it's black. Can you explain to us why you chose black as a protection, or why Dorothy and you chose black as a protection?
Well, flying monkeys is purple, I
Oh, it's
think.
purple. It looks black, but
I
okay.
think it's purple. It sucks to be you is the black one.
Okay.
But why did I choose black as a protection? And let me tell you, back almost 30 years ago, there were stores who would not carry the protection candle because it was black, and they refused to ever sell a black candle because those are only done for evil. Well, when I was creating my formulas, I would meditate on them, and I would say, well, what's the energy needed? And this is before I knew I was going to the Akashic Records, but I was going into the Akashic Records. And every time I went in, I heard a message of, if you don't want people to see you, you hide in the shadows. If you don't want people to attack you, veil yourself. If you need protection, put up a barrier. So that was a very physical, practical thing that I got over and over again. Every time I tried to make a white candle, it wouldn't be white. Something would happen. Well, first of all, I put herbs in there, and so the herbs would change the color. And so then it wouldn't be a white candle. So now that whole white candle idea was broken, because the oils and the herbs would change the color. Even when I would just kept changing the recipe to be able to do that. But I just kept hearing, you need all of the colors. You need all of the energy. Don't limit your energy of
Mm-hmm.
what you're using. So the protection candle, my protection candle, brings up a lot of earth. It brings up a lot of earth energy for protection, where a lot of people, they want the white because it's a higher vibration. They're going spirit protection. And that's there with the protection candle as well. But I wanted to bring up a lot of earthy energy. That's why that one was black. And I was laughing my butt off, because I have taken a lot of heat on that one for a lot of years. And recently, when I was reading someone else's witch book, they said the best protection color is black. And I'm like, I don't know. But that's okay. I'm not owning that. I was very guided towards that. But it was like, I'm happy that, and you can use orange for protection too. Like if that orange is vibrating the type of protection you need, because you need protection, because you need to bring up your will and your boundaries. Wow, orange is the best color for bringing up personal boundaries and will. So again, what's the energy that surrounds you? What's the energy that you need, and how do you need to define it? Well, my fiery wall of protection candle is orange.
Right. You know, the thing about it is, when I first heard that, I'm like, okay, I need to think about this for a minute. And you're right, black absorbs all the colors. And so if you really want to protect every aspect of your life, black would probably be a very good choice of protection, because it does use all the colors. So tell me about, how did you and Dorothy get together to start on her line, the Wicked Witch Studios candles?
So in Michigan, we have convocation, and Dorothy was there at convocation one year, and I decided I wanted an introduction. And then I decided I wanted to buy her dinner, and I wrangled that. Just because I really respect her, and I saw her from across. I'd read her stuff, and then when I saw her, I'm like, that is my friend, and I need to meet my friend. And so I elbowed my way in and was able to have a one-on-one dinner with Dorothy, and then I said, I'll just put it out there. I would love to work with you in any way that you're comfortable with. It took us 5-6 years to figure out any products to work together on. And then we tried a few different things that didn't quite work. And then one day she called me, she goes, I had a dream and I know what it's going to be. And so she knew that she was going to do the Wicked Witch Mojo candles. And she had some of the names. She woke up and she had the names already figured out. And so then called me and I wrote them all down. And I said, okay, well, I know what oils I want to put in that. So I gave her the list of the ingredients and what we wanted to do with it. And then she tweaked it. And then I created a label, and then we talked about colors. And it just was this amazing collaborative experience that was originated with Dorothy and her ideas. And she is so witty, so funny. She has a turn of phrase that just makes it all make sense. And so it's been a joy to work with Dorothy. It's been challenging because she's very exacting. As a magical practitioner, she's very exacting, and it has to be exactly the way she wants. And so she has made me a better candle maker and a better designer because of how exacting she is. I'm the type of person who says, well, big picture, it looks great. Dorothy wants all the details lined up. So it has been a great learning experience working with her, and I love doing it. And she has become a dear, dear friend. So whenever we talk, whenever we're working on a new product, it's laughter the entire way.
Awesome. Well, it looks like it's going to get time to do the witch's cabinet. So one last thing, Jackie, what would you say for like our members of our audience, if they want to contact you or something like that, where can you be located at?
Well, you can find Coventry Creations on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. CoventryCreations.com is my website. You can send me messages through any of those places. We're easy to find. I've got, you might not get to me directly in the first step, but I've got a great team that gets everything to me, and lots of information for there. And I'm always looking, and Witches Union. I'm on the Witches Union quite a bit, so you can always send me messages through that too. I love to hear from people and give them little hints and see how I can help them.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Jackie, for coming on. Pam and I have really enjoyed this, and
Thank you
hopefully
so
we'll
much.
see you again.
All right. Well, I'm just going to watch from the background on what you guys are going to do with your next step. So I'll sign off now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. All right. So now it is time for the Witch's Cabinet. And with the Witch's Cabinet today, Miss Pam is going to show us something. So we're going to let Miss Pam take it away.
Welcome to the Witch's Cabinet this week. This week, we're going to continue on what we did last week, and we're going to make some bath salts. Since you've already purchased your oil and your essential oils, we're going to show you how to turn that into a bath salt. The bath salts I make are very inexpensive. Nikki has one of the recipes online, but there's a million recipes online that you can use. These are your basic ingredients that you're going to use when you make any essential. Now, mine are baked. The reason they're baked is it more evenly evens it out and they don't clump so much at the end. So these are the ingredients, and we're going to get ready. We're going to get started. So bear with me as we take our Epsom salts. Now, again, when I tell you what a product is, I don't give you a name of a product. It can be any product that you got. Epsom salts, I always keep around the house because they're absolutely wonderful. Sprains, heels, swollen feet, whatever. Epsom salts are great, and it makes a great bath salt. So you're going to put a cup in here. All right, what we'll make is gonna fit into 4 of those little mason jars. Aren't they so cute? I got them at Walmart. I just love them. I think they're absolutely adorable. The next thing you're gonna use is a salt. Some kind of a sea salt is good. I like the pink Himalayan salt just because I like it. To me, it's got a nice texture when you're doing this. I like fine grit rather than the coarse grit because it dissolves a lot quicker in the water, but that's entirely up to you. So you can use sea salt, Celtic salt, whatever salt you want. And you're gonna use a cup of it. So you're gonna pour a cup in here, even it out. There we go, got a cup of that. The thing to remember, if you're using a colored salt, when you go to decorate or change the color, you've already got a lot of red in here so that when you add color, if you're not going for red, you might wanna make sure you use a drop or 2 of the extra food coloring. Now, it's a 1/4 cup of baking soda. Again, baking soda has a million uses. Everything from cleaning your refrigerator, keeping it nice smelling, to sneakers, trust me, to actually just putting it in your laundry bin. So we're gonna put a 1/4 of a cup in here. All we need is this. Now, do not purchase these in any of your craft stores because it's gonna cost you a small fortune. Again, I tell you and I recommend, just go to Walmart or you look at grocery stores, they have it. Check out prices because every once in a while they'll put them on sale and that's what you wanna get. You wanna get the sale price on anything. Now, at this point, we're gonna use 3/4 of a teaspoon of and I'm again using coconut oil because it doesn't have a scent. So this is a 1/2. All right. And this is going to be a 1/4. And the measurements there. Okay, so you've got it in there. Now, what you're going to want to do is, that was 3/4 of a tablespoon. Now you're going to want to add a tablespoon and a half. Now this is of the oil you've already broke down. If you're using essential oils from the bottle, fresh, you're going to want to use about 15 drops. Again, please remember how strong your oil is before you start. But because if it's a very strong oil, what's going to happen is it's going to be overpowering. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. So we're going to do 1 1/2. Tablespoon, so it'd be 1, and then it's going to be a 1/2 on this. I love these on the rings. These are old, but it makes it easier for me if I've got to use them. I'm not picking up 3 or 4 of these. And we have. Come on. There you go. You're out. Okay, now comes the fun part. You get to pick a color. Again, this is a fun thing to do with the kids. Again, you have your math skills. There are all kinds of skills going on here. Following directions, which is a great skill that children all need to know. I need to teach this to many adults. Oops, didn't say that out loud. Okay, so you're going to make a color. Now, if you look at the bottom of these wonderful things, they have the color guides right here, how to make all your colors. So we're going to do a purple, and I'm going to use the heavier purple because I love purple. So we're going to use, it's 24 and 16. So it's 24 drops of the red, so you've got to find your red, and it's 16 drops of your blue. So now we're going to count 24 drops. Nobody laugh while I count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 16, 17, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now it looks like a massacre in there. Okay, let's add the blue to it. Yeah, we're done. Okay, now you're going to want to get some kind of stirring instrument. I have several sets of spoons, wooden spoons. Some I use for cooking, some I do not. Some cooking. This is one of my stir spoons. We call my witchy spoons. You're going to stir all of this good stuff up. Okay, once you get this all stirred really good, and you top up, because you're going to have some lumps with your Epsom, not with your Epsom salts, but with your baking soda sometimes. I live in Florida where the humidity is like 120% all the time. So yeah, we have clumps. So you're going to knock those out because those clumps are going to show up white. You want to get your color stirred in there. So you're going to really stir this good. Just remember you're stirring the cauldron. It looks really full. Anytime you cook or make something or build something on your own, you're actually adding your essential ingredient to it. So you're making magic. People are often asking me, how do I do magic daily? Do I do spells daily? Well, I cook daily. I love cooking. That is my thing to do. So for me, when I'm cooking, you cook with intention. And magic is taking something and transforming it into something else. So I have transformed those ingredients into a bath salt. Now, the baked bath salt, this is a little different than most people are used to. What we're going to do is we're baking it to get rid of the clumps. So I use a pan that I normally do not cook with. I will go to the thrift store and you pick these up for a couple bucks. I have a ton of them and I use them for all my crafts, candles, whatever I'm making at whatever time I'm doing something. Even painting, you can put it in here and paint it in here. I have a set of these I keep in my craft room. And like I say, I don't use them, but if you do have to use your own, put about 6 layers of this because we're going to stir this. And you don't want to get that oil actually into the pan. And like I said, I think I picked this one up for $1.50. I'm going to teach you how to be a cheap witch. There's no reason to spend $1,000 on anything. Now, people ask me, why do I do this? Well, when you go to visit a ritual and you're invited to a ritual, you want to always bring the host or hostess something pleasing to say thank you for hosting this, because we know what a pain in the rear it is to host because you've done it yourself. So we're going to put this in. We must stir it every 5 minutes. So it's going in now, and in 5 minutes, I'll give it the first stir. I need you to remember, you have to be careful. It will burn. Put your stove on. If your stove goes down to 175, put it on 175. If your stove only goes to 200, put it on 200. Put it on the lowest setting you can get. Most gas ovens start at 200. They have a little slot maybe for the 175, but not always. Most of your electrics have a 175. I have gas, so mine's on 200. It's going to sit in there for approximately 5 minutes. So while that's in there cooking, we're going to have a short discussion on a few other things, and then I'm going to send you back into the studio with Nikki, and I will join her and show you what the finished product looks like. But like I say, whenever you're cooking or whenever you're doing anything, you're doing magic. So keep that thought in mind when you're cooking for your family or you're cooking for friends, that that's what it is. It's magic. Again, bring your host or hostess something. Essential, anybody can use bath salts. They're very nice. They're very wonderful gift to give somebody. My caution again is I always caution you, we use no preservatives in what we're making. So that means it does not stay good forever. So date it, put in there what you've used. Now, because I've used 2 different oils, I will list both oils because someone might have an allergy to coconut. So you list your coconut oil, and of course I've used dragon's blood, which is one of my favorites. So on there, I would put on there the date I made it. I would put on there what oils I used, and I always write on it what it is because I'm not being terribly unkind to anybody, but sometimes you get a gift and you're not pretty sure what it is because it's a little hard when it comes in a jar. Again, use jars you have at home. Baby food jars, if you know anybody that still has a baby and does baby food, grab their jars because those are great for anything, but keep them away from your significant other because men tend to want to use those in the garages because they're great for nuts and bolts, nails, and all kinds of stuff. So you'll miss your supply. All of a sudden you'll go in there and they've all disappeared. Nobody knows where they went. I don't know, and somebody, who knows, took them. So reusable jars are great because they will get reused again. When I'm gifted something like this, I will reuse the jar, usually for candles or, again, little odds and ends and bolts of them. And also for witches, spells, production jars. Now, we started to use our Book of Shadows. I'm going to ask you guys to start keeping your Book of Shadows. In the next section, I'm going to go over what a Book of Shadows is and how Modern Witch keeps a book of shadows. But for right now, we're going back to the studio with Nikki, and then I'm going to jump in, hopefully, and I'll be able to show you the finished product. Thanks for watching the Witch's Cabinet.
All right. So Pam, I got a question for you. I got one question for you right quick.
Sure.
All right. After you store it for 5 minutes, how much longer do you put it in?
About
total?
10 minutes total.
Okay.
Now, I did have the other jars, but you asked earlier about sharing your witchy stuff and coming out and letting people get to know us. Well, I took those 4 jars and filled it with my bath salts and gave them to the girls in my office as a gift.
Awesome.
We had a really rough week last week, so they went, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you make this? This is what it looks like." See, it's not clumpy when you bake it. It's very loose in the jar, and of course, it smells absolutely divine because it's dragon's blood. And again, on your tag, you just write the oils that you used and the date you made it. So I won my coworkers over with some kindness by sharing my bath salts with them. And amazingly, they are now asking, well, witches, I said, witches make a lot of their own stuff. We do. You make things. You create items, and mainly we create things because of the joy in making it and just getting that, I don't know, that good warm feeling when something is made. Witches traditionally give handmade gifts when they show up at a ritual. I know I've been guilty of running in and buying a candle, but normally I like to take something that I've made. And as someone who's hosted many, many rituals, I love the homemade gifts. They don't have to be perfect. They're
Mhm.
made with love, and that's what makes them perfect.
That's right. That's right. They don't have to be perfect. A lot of people, they think, oh, gotta have the perfect, label here, and I gotta write this really, really perfect, and I gotta do this. No, 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 no. Honey, it doesn't have to be perfect because you know what? You will perfect it as you practice it over time. So that was awesome, Pam.
Thank you.
I love that. That was really, really cool. So
Well, if you
now,
want to ship these, just a little thing, you can put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in a box, and they ship. I just had a whole box of broken jars come to my front door.
oh, wonderful. Don't you we always love that?
I think they played football with them.
Well, you know what? Super glue doesn't really help it when the jar is broken.
So people may be getting plastic Ziploc bags from me as gifts. It's the only jar that made it.
Well, as long as they have your personal charm, Pam, that's what we're looking for. Mwah.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, all right. So that's in for our Witch Hat Chats. I just want to remind everybody I do have my workshop coming up on Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Eagle Medicine. The sky isn't the limit, and I'm very excited to be able to teach that and to show that to people. So, Pam, thank you for coming, and thank you for doing the witch's cabinet and showing us how to do bath salts and not break jars.
Have a great one.
Yes, have a good one, everyone.